Hi, this is Jay Johnstone for the Sci-Fi Fantasy Network, and we're here with Jonny Duddle, who is a fantastic illustrator. He's going to tell me a little bit more about his work. Jonathan, first of all, lovely to meet you today. I've seen some of your artworks next door for the illustrations of Severus Snape for the new publications of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Can you tell us a little bit about the works, why you got involved with it, and what you do?
I'm a freelance illustrator, and I do a lot of book covers, and I also write and illustrate my own picture books, so a lot younger than Harry Potter. And they approached me to do a test last November, and got 4 illustrators doing tests. The first cover as a test, and then picked their favourite to do the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I initially turned it down because I was worried about I'd be doing the test because I thought I wouldn't get it because I've been doing so much younger stuff.
Yeah.
And also I just was quite busy this year, but they persuaded me to do it. I did it and got picked to do the rest.
How did you feel when you first got the letter?
When they said I was doing all of them,
yeah.
I was panicked a bit because I hadn't read them or seen the films. So then I had to read all the books and see all the film. Well, I read all the books actually. I didn't watch the films. I watched the films. I watched each film after I'd finished the cover.
Yeah.
So I didn't want it to influence. They didn't want it to be influenced by the film. So maybe that helped that I hadn't seen them.
Can you just explain a little bit about the style that you work in?
Well, it kind of varies a bit. I mean, I worked for about 9 years as a computer games concept artist. So then you have to change your style a lot. You do cartoony stuff through to realistic stuff. So my own books, the ones I write, are very young. So they're like picture books for 3, 4, 5-year-olds. But that kind of influences my older stuff as well. It's kind of maybe more colourful and it's not fully realistic. It's kind of slightly stylised.
Yeah. It's
got a realistic-ish look, and it's painted kind of realistically, but they're kind of maybe brighter colours and slightly stylised characters. You know, the faces are longer than they would be in real life, and which I think they wanted because these were the children's editions. They've got an adult edition, and they wanted a new children's edition, which was kind of my brief was to make them have a lot of action and be quite colourful, and to try and draw in a new audience for a younger audience for Harry Potter rather than the people who read them the first time around.
Which was your favourite book to work on?
I think either Prisoner of Azkaban or The Half-Blood Prince were my 2 favourite covers, and they were the 2 most straightforward. As in, when I did the roughs, because you get the brief and you do a rough and you send the roughs off to the client, to Bloomsbury and J.K. Rowling, and they say what's right or wrong with it, or pick one of 2 or 3 roughs. And with Prisoner of Azkaban and Half-Blood Prince, which I think are the best, they're my 2 favourites now. The roughs were kind of almost exactly what I saw as soon as I started. As soon as I read to that part in the book, because they briefed me on 2 or 3 scenes, I had to pick a scene. So I read the scenes, I read that far in the book, and then did the sketch. And as soon as I did those sketches, they looked how I wanted them to look.
How panicking were you when you sent the roughs in? Were you nervous?
No, not really. It's because I've done quite a few book covers now, but not for any. Well, I've done a Terry Pratchett one.
Yeah. Which one?
It was Nation.
Yeah.
Whereas actually they used my rough for the artwork there.
Really?
My agent sent me a picture of a bus stop with the artwork. I thought I'd just done the roughs. They paid me to do some colour roughs rather than just sketches.
Yeah.
And then the next thing we knew, it was on a bus stop.
Yeah. Did J.K. Rowling ever give you any feedback? Have you heard back from her?
Well, all the artwork and all the roughs went. Firstly, I sent them to my contacts at Bloomsbury, my art director. There's an art director, Val Braithwaite, was my art director there, and I sent them to her, and then they were sent on to J.K. Rowling's agents. I think they're called the Blair Partnership. So they were sent to them, and then I got feedback, which I think they all were seen. Sometimes it came back very quickly. I think the second cover I did, which was the first one that was properly briefed, and the feedback came within hours. I think it must have just been a good day. It must have gone straight, and she must have been at a computer or something, because I got feedback within. I got approval within about 4 or 5 hours. Whereas sometimes the approval was 2 or 3. I waited 2 or 3 weeks.
Excellent.
But it was always there was always a nice overlap. So while I was doing the rough for one, I was reading the next book, and then I'd be doing the artwork. So doing 7, they all kind of rolled into each other.
Yeah.
And then I did the back covers as well, which were.
You've done pencil drawings for that, and I noticed there was one of Severus Snape that is on the, as I mentioned, is it on the back cover? But you've given that as a raffle prize for Roy Tolkien's support of his brother.
Yep. I've known Roy for quite a long time, since I was at I was maybe secondary school or just after secondary school, because we both live locally. and I saw this, and he sort of asked if I had any drawings. And so I contacted Bloomsbury and said, can I give one? Because I had to check it was okay to give a Harry Potter one, and they were fine with it. So.
And is that the original that's on the book?
I coloured them for the book. They were coloured on the book, so
Yeah.
that was one of the sketches for the book.
So where are all the original illustrations? Do you get to keep those, or do they go over to the publisher?
Well, I work digitally.
Right.
So some of my artwork I start off in pencil and I sketch it and I do the roughs in pencil. Sometimes I work directly digital for the sketch. I've got a Wacom Cintiq, like the screens you can draw on the screen.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do them in pencil. Sometimes I just do them directly into Photoshop or Painter. So the finished artwork for all of them is digital.
Right.
So there isn't actually an original, which is kind of a shame.
It's a shame.
Because there's not something to sell. Yeah. I want to retire on it.
Do you have a website people can look at just to look at the works?
I've got a blog, which is I think Jonny Duddle .blogspot or whatever, and I have a Facebook page, like a like page, an art page, and then there is a Jonny Duddle, Jonny-Duddle.com.
Yeah.
But that's all my picture books. So that's kind of through my publisher, and that's all picture book stuff.
Excellent.
All
All right.
Yeah.
Super. Well, thank you very much for speaking to us today, and I'll see you soon.
Cheers.
Cheers, Johnny.